up, you beauties? Welcome back to another episode of the No One Asked for This podcast, which was supposed to be, in its creation, the podcast that absolutely nobody asked for, but it's turned in very quickly to a podcast that a lot of you are asking for, and I don't know if it's from like an emotional standpoint or you guys just like listening to my voice, which is new for me, because I had teachers growing up telling me to shut up, but I'm giving you someone who knows exactly what brought me to being the way I am today. I'm bringing you a childhood friend of mine that I've known since we were Nine, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Brown.
Hi, how are you? Nice
you know what I like? I say
nice
Chris Brown and everyone's like, what?
It's actually Christian Brown, by the way. And
yeah,
as I've
Brown.
transitioned from like a high school to a college to a professional sense, I had to actually divert away from Chris.
I've noticed
and
that.
into Christian Brown from like an SEO perspective, a search perspective, like a professionalism sense.
Exactly, of course.
Because when I was 11 years old, everyone's like, whoa. And I was like, oh.
Naturally.
Yeah.
So I think you guys know me very well as 29-year-old with like the brain of an 8-year-old. But Chris is a special person because Chris saw more or less the entire development of what I am today. And we're going to get into the entire lineage of all that. You guys sent in a bunch of questions about me, and they're almost all about whether or not I was chunky as a kid.
Well, we can get into that.
We're not going to get into that. We're going to skip that, and we're going to get into something else.
I'll get into that.
First and foremost, I want to let Chris, I think what you guys need to understand about Chris that I already know about him is that we're from a very, very small town in Massachusetts called Danvers. Super, super tiny town, enough that we could become good friends. And we both kind of we grew up in Danvers, went off to college, and now we're back in like our late 20s in this hilarious little like side quest.
Yeah.
But I want to let him tell you about all of it because it's sick, and I think you guys are going to really like it. Chris, take it away. What do you do?
So, okay, we'll start with me, and then we'll go all the way back to the beginning. So, I am the co-founder of Gluey, which is an end-to-end influencer marketing platform. So what we do is we work with tens of thousands of influencers, nano, micro, mid-size, macro, mega influencers, creators, all nationwide. And we work with e-commerce brands and consumer apps. So we have an iOS app for our influencers, a web platform for brands. And what we do is we work with all these brand partners to create and launch influencer marketing strategies. So whether that's working with 10, 20, 50 nano, micro influencers a month, or working with like 3 mega influencers a month. There's a lot that goes into that from both sides.
Of course.
On the brand side, a brand will say, wait, I want to work with influencers. I want to have this strategy. But what goes into that? There's your search and discovery of influencers, right? Where are you finding creators and influencers? Then how are you communicating with them? Is it over email or DM? Where is that communication flow?
Sure.
Then comes legal and compliance. Who's writing the contracts? Who's reviewing them? Who's sending them off? Who's signing them and how? And then from there, you have to ship the product from the brand side, or if it's a service, there's the digital service.
Yeah.
And then once the creator has the product or service, the creation, submission, and feedback flow of the content. Once it's approved, now it has to go live and you have to track the data. Once you've done that, you have to pay out the creator accordingly. And then lastly, every February is this beautiful thing called taxes. So there's a whole system involved in that. So that's on the brand side. So we created our technology and our workflow to create what we call like the influencer-powered growth engine for brands.
Okay.
Right? So we're working with e-commerce brands, consumer apps, some mega brands that we all know, all the way down to startups that we're just bringing to the market. And we're able to take their budget, create the strategy, and deploy that through creators. And so our iOS app is a deal flow and a deal board for influencers. We've paid out millions of dollars to creators in the past few years.
Sick.
It's really cool.
Well, one thing that I feel like we kind of need to touch on, Gluey's not your first company.
No.
It's not even close to your first company. Because Chris went to, so we were both in Danvers, but we went to the 2 different high schools in Danvers. There's like a couple of options. And again, really, really small town, like 2 schools to choose from. And when he was in Danvers High School, you founded, it's a clothing company.
Yeah, my clothing brand, OK, spelled O-H-K-A-Y. So if you look here, I still have the tattoo on my lip, right? I have,
oh my God.
Yeah,
wait, show it to the camera.
So I have OK tattooed on my lip. It's the only tattoo I ever have.
I feel like I knew that.
Yeah, I got it because I was like, yo, I'm like so about my action, right?
Of course.
And I will never get another tattoo. This like actually doesn't really count because it's on the inside of my lip.
Sure.
But I was like, yeah, I'll bend the rules, my rule for that one.
I was going to say, if somebody finds that, then they already know you really well.
Yeah, very much so, right? And yeah, I definitely showed my girlfriend the first night. I was like, yo, I got a lip tattoo, right?
She can't just like, what the hell?
Yeah, right.
That would be weird.
Oh, what is that? So yeah, so I started that in high school. My sophomore year when I joined DECA, which is like the business program at school.
Yes.
So DECA we had a really small program. right? Like it was only like 18 of us or so at the time.
Sure.
And so in DECA, you go across like all these different like niches and segments, and you pick, do you want to do a presentation or a paper? And I wanted to do the entrepreneurship. So my category was called entrepreneurship, starting a business. So I had to do a 30-page paper based on that. And at the time, I was really dabbling. Like I had been on social for like a bunch of years already.
Oh, yeah.
And like I got onto social when I was like 12, 13, like Tumblr, YouTube, like pre-Instagram and stuff.
Of course.
And so with that, I created, like, I love taking photos and stuff. And so I started OK Photography. So I had all these photos that I had, and I went and I built a Squarespace website.
Nice.
And then I bought a big printer. I actually got it for Christmas one year. That was my big present. Big giant printer.
Yeah.
And so I'd take the photos and I'd print them, and then I'd sell prints.
Okay.
Right. So I created this e-com business around the brand. And then from the time I was a sophomore to a junior, I was like, wait, I want to really develop this out.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do something much more lifestyle oriented. And I was really venturing into like the fashion world and streetwear and learning all about that.
Yeah, you were big.
I was super influenced by like what was happening on Tumblr in the early days of Instagram, and like how everything that was just going on in social, and how like the music I was listening to, like rap and skate culture and streetwear, was all really forged together through like that social narrative that was playing, whatever. So I was like, I want to build a streetwear brand. So I was like, well, I have to figure this out, right? So I need to learn how to do screen printing, and I have to learn how to do embroidery and cut and sew and all these things.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And so we transformed my really teeny tiny basement. I grew up, just my mother and I, in this
Where all
really,
the WWE
where all the
action
WWE
figures
stuff was.
were.
And
Oh
so
my
I had this like really small townhouse I grew up in. And it was like a rectangle, right? And the basement was very similar size to this room.
Yeah.
And we just kind of, like, the perimeter was the brand, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I had a screen print station. I had a vinyl station, a cut and sew station. I, like, got all the money I had, and I, like, bought all the material.
Sure.
And then I went down to the screen print store in town, and I walked in there one day after school, and I said, I want to work for free until I know how to do this myself. And they were like, sure. Yeah, you start right now.
Whatever you want to do.
They were like, yeah, man, we love the free word.
Well, it's because they've never had a kid come up to them with
Like
that level
17
of incentive.
Yeah, 17-year-old
which
kid,
is
like,
insane.
And I was just like, let's ride, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I learned how to do that. We stood up the brand. Everyone I knew around me was like kind of working around it and on it.
Yeah.
So we sold thousands of things, dude.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of things just throughout high school. So my second year of DECA, I leveled it up to the same entrepreneurship, building a business, right? The same 30-page paper, but for the clothing brand. And then I scaled it up from there. And as I was just marketing through social, I was understanding like, wait, my friends are influencers and creators and stuff. Yeah. So if I just do collabs with them or put them in the hoodie and the t-shirt and the cut and sew, right? Like it was really selling like hotcakes. And so I was able to like spend a lot of time in Boston, spend time in New York. Because my first experience with New York City was like doing fashion shoots with kids that I just met on Instagram. Yeah. Right. And like growing my Instagram and their Instagram, all this stuff.
Of course.
With the brand. And then that led me down to like Miami and Chicago and my first times in LA. And so like this just opened the world up for me. Like from that teeny tiny bedroom in Danvers, Massachusetts, I was able to experience the world on my computer, right? And the interpersonal connections I made were all digital. And I just like every day I'd be like, if someone's, oh, come to New York this weekend. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Like I had low-key enough money, right? I was making money on the brand.
Of course.
I would just spend it on experience, like to then go take photos places and do this and meet these people and like grow my network. And that was the original footprint of like how I got to be.
Well, I mean, I think you are one of many examples these days of someone who like, and you see it a lot with like the standard social media influencer, like the standard like macro influencer with a couple million followers, where it's like you come from a town that like, I mean, when it comes to Danvers, in my opinion, I feel like it's one of two things.
Greatest place on earth, by the way.
Phenomenal place. I love Danvers. We go back once a month. And I feel like it's two types of people. It's either the people who adore Danvers in the small town or like can adore it from afar.
Right, yeah.
And I feel like you're one of the many examples of someone who loves Danvers, but can enjoy it from afar and find success by escaping.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it is a part of me, right? Like every thing I do, like I'm still that 17-year-old kid in my bedroom. Like I'm still up late at night with the same mentality. Dude, I listen to the same album sometimes and like I just reflect, what are we, 11 years later? And I've been around the world, created like an incredible company with all my friends. Like we've done amazing things so far and like we're only scratching the surface. Yeah. But I still like have these moments where like I almost like talk to that 17-year-old version of me. It's like, yo, dude, like we got it, you know? Yeah. Like keep like I want to look back at myself and be like, yo, keep going. Don't worry. And I never worried because I always just had something in me that was like, I think Danvers gave us a great foundation, right? Like
100%.
And you know what's funny? So every morning, Danvers High School, there would be the loudspeaker, and Mark Strout was our vice principal, and he would say, and I remember this, Danvers High School is a community of independent learners dedicated to respect, responsibility, kindness, creativity, and the pursuit of academic excellence.
Did they say this in the middle school too?
No, only at the high school.
Why did I know that?
Maybe the middle school. I don't know.
Why did I know pursuit was going to come up? Because Holden Richmond, I feel like they might have said something
We are in
similar.
the pursuit of happiness and greatness.
We are in the pursuit of happiness and greatness.
In Danvers, Massachusetts.
It's
That's what I'm
true.
saying. A small town of 24,000 people. Keep in mind, I was the class president.
Is
right?
it 24,000?
Yeah.
Jesus
I wanna say
Christ, that's
28,000.
actually more than I thought.
Yeah, so I took high school so serious, bro.
Of course.
Yeah, like that built me. That I went every day. I wasn't slacking off or like, this was pre-TikTok, Instagram, like short form video. So like, I think the distraction element was a lot less prevalent then than it might be now. But I took that so serious. I take everything serious, but like, that was my first whack at it. That was like, you wake up, you get on the bus, you go to school, you work your ass off, you do every last bit of homework, you study your butt off all the time. You go every time you get to class with that exam, like give it your all.
Of course.
And that's when I was like, okay, yeah, when I do invest the time and give it my all, I get great results.
Exactly.
And that was my first experience of like ROI, right?
Yeah.
And
that
so
return
it was,
on it. Yeah.
It was great.
Well, I think what's funny is like you said earlier, you're like, I feel like I'm still that 17-year-old me sitting in my bedroom with like the same mindset. And I think like, I look at my life right now, doing content creation, doing the podcast, doing the YouTube series, and working with brands to show off what they're working with. And I've thought to myself a couple of times, I'm like, when I was a kid, you know this as well as anyone, but they might not. Like when I was a kid, I was obsessed with YouTube creators. I watched like Ray William Johnson and Jenna Marbles and Cody Ko for a while.
I watched Cody Ko this morning. Funny dude.
He ran with the same group that I ran with for New York City.
Yeah.
So he was also on Release's team.
Oh, sick.
Which was pretty cool. But yeah, like I look back and I'm like, I've always really enjoyed the concept of content creation.
Yeah.
Do you remember... We're throwing it back already.
Okay.
Do you remember when we tried to create our own brand of Jackass in my backyard?
Yes, I do. Oh my God. Wait. We have to paint the picture of your backyard.
I know. She's looking at us like...
Oh my goodness. Wait.
Yeah.
Tyler's backyard. Tyler's house growing up is the coolest place on earth.
It was awesome.
I had my first sip of beer in my life at Tyler's house, right?
Yeah, we were like, he's fun. Let's get him drunk.
Yeah, I was like probably 13. I don't know, whatever. And Tyler had this golf cart, right? And it was...
Still have it.
It was insane. And we were way too young to be doing what we were doing.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd take it through the backyard, out this big gate that like would lead to the woods, that would lead to a reservoir. And there it is. Tattoo on the arm.
There it is. So
And
if you haven't seen it before, the reflection on the eye on my arm is the reservoir that he's talking about. So the woods surrounding this water is the res. So if you hear us say the res, we're talking about that. It was just beyond my parents' backyard gate.
And there was this like magic trail. When I say magic, I never knew how it got there. It was just a trail from the back of your house into the open woodland.
You know who made it?
Who?
My dad.
Oh, yes.
When he was a kid. Because my dad lives in his childhood home.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my grandfather on my dad's side, the Polish one from Gdansk, he built that house.
What?
And then my dad grew up in it. They lived in... I think they first, I'm going to get this wrong. They first ended up in, I believe, Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah.
Or no, it was Peabody. They started in Peabody.
Yeah.
Then they moved over to Danvers, built the house.
Whoa.
They lived in it until my dad was like 25, 26, which at that time they had, I believe, both my brother and I.
Right.
And then they gave the house to my parents, and then they went down to Florida.
Yeah, natural.
And when my dad was a kid, he made those trails because he and his friends, when they were our age, went and did what we did.
Wow.
Probably on a
natural
positive scale.
Pilgrimage of the Massachusetts North Shore person is like, do what you want to do in life and then move to Florida.
Yeah.
That's
even
like
though,
the rest of the world is just in Florida for them.
I love Florida for like 5 days at a time.
Yeah.
Because don't you live part-time in Miami?
Yeah, I have a place in Florida.
Yeah.
So I spend most of winter there.
Okay. Wait, let me, are you diagnosed with ADHD yet?
No.
Okay, great.
No.
So enjoy that. Fun medication for it. So
I don't subscribe to that.
Basically, we would try to like recreate, because we were watching like Jackass and these stupid like videos online, and we were like, we can do this. So we'd take out our like, what were they? It was like the chocolate, the phone. There was a
NV3.
Maybe.
Oh, the Juke? Well, the Juke went like
the
this.
Juke,
the
little flip up.
Flipped this way and this way.
Yeah.
The NV2 slid.
And then there was the Razor.
The Razor, R-A-Z-R.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we would record.
The Razor was rectangular and you flip it open.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was sharp on the corner.
We would record ourselves basically just like falling off of high elevation surfaces.
Or jumping over a campfire.
Or like
oh, you had a rope swing.
the swing. I was
in your
just
yard,
about to
in
say
your
the swing in
yard.
my parents'
Yeah.
backyard. We would put like 9 kids on this swing in my parents' backyard,
And
which
keep in mind, I was the youngest.
yeah, you were a
I was
baby.
the youngest. Your
it was
older
you,
brother,
me, who I was a year older than you, and
Yep.
then my brother and his friends who just had so many ideas, and they're like, these two are young,
madmen, like
impressionable young kids. Let's make them do all the stupid stunts. But like we were fully intending on making this like compilation of stupid stunts and putting them out
and at the
for
same
everyone.
time we were also scootering, so there was a scootering and skateboarding
There was the
element.
I
and
loved scootering.
So with that came like the video component, right? That's how I got into like YouTube and shit. Was I bought the old camcorder and then we had to super glue on the ring so you could put a baby Deathlens fisheye on it. So you had a camcorder and then a fisheye glued to it, and then we had like the little U ring like this, so I could hold it while we scootered, so you could get a low to high shot with the fisheye. And then we, depending if you had like an old VX 2100 or a new camcorder, you'd have to get it into like an SD card and get it on the computer. Like
Chris, I could find a video you took of me shirtless in white shorts. We were at the Danvers skate park, right? And you know that little like it's the 2 thing with the flat on top?
Yeah, on the back left.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went over that and you were going along the side. I went over that and then I went up to that little kicker that was right there, and I did like a 180 and landed, and I like hit my chest on the scooter and I started like screaming profanities and then I grabbed the camera and went right up to it. That video exists on YouTube.
No way.
It does. And now people are going to find it.
My old scooter crew was called T4 Scooters. T4 Scooters, and what we did.
Remember that.
Yeah, I had this like basically like a clan, like and I was like super inspired by Xbox clans, like that same user tag or whatever.
Yes.
So then there was like these scooter groups, which really derived from skate teams, right?
Sure.
And the scooter world had their own thing, and then I had this crew of kids that like we would travel around and stuff because we took that shit so serious.
Yeah.
And then like we made custom bars. I had this one dude's dad like building us and like soldering and creating custom handlebars for us. And there was like all the first brands that I followed were scooter brands.
Sure.
And that was my introduction into like all that shit.
Well, I think there was always sort of a part of me that knew that I wanted to do something that had to do with content creation, because I was obsessed with the idea of like Ryan Sheckler being sponsored by Take Your Pick skateboard brand, or Sean White being sponsored by every type of sport, literally everything. He can like pick, he could get into volleyball tomorrow and he'd be in the Olympics the next day. But it's like, I saw that and I was like, they're sending you clothes and scooters and skateboards and all this stuff. And I was and then when you get to a certain point, they'll pay you. So I was like dead set on the idea that like, okay, I'm going to become a really good skateboarder. And then I realized I suck at skateboarding. And then I like got really big into scootering because it was like a lower level, like somebody with less athleticism can be really, really good at scootering, but you can go crazy with it. Like Liberty, you know, insane. Like I think
backflips and shit.
I did one backflip on a scooter once.
Where, Rye?
PJ Weymouth set up the
way.
So in the parking lot of the skate park,
Yeah.
we set up there. Remember they had like the mulch piles that they would put there because they were going to put it where it was supposed to go.
Right.
They would leave these mulch piles, and our friends would basically go up to the side of it and start digging down to make a jump. So our friend PJ, who was also from Danvers, he built this star shooter of a ramp up against the side of the pile of dirt. And this kid was out of his mind, like riding dirt bikes. And I grew up riding dirt bikes, but this kid really rode dirt bikes. So he was like hardcore. So when he started scootering, he was like, I can do anything on this thing. So he went and he was throwing backflips. And I was like, that's cool. How do you do that? And he's like, you just look up.
You look up and backwards.
And I was like, I guess you just look up and go backwards. So he's like, if you go really, really fast and you just look backwards, I was looking at God when I was doing this. But
you only got a little bit back.
In fairness, no, I really spun the thing. I actually overspun because I was so scared. So you just like, whoa. And then I launched myself back into a backflip, and I rode that wave of confidence after landing a backflip, even though it wasn't real.
You haven't got off that wave.
I have never gone off of that wave. It led me to the confidence I have today.
Good.
But again, my ADHD. To circle back to what I was saying, like, we would see Jackass, and we were like, screw it, let's make videos of us hurting ourselves. And then we'd see, like, you know, Ray William Johnson, storytelling, reaction stuff like this, and I was like, this is great. Jenna Marbles, just funny lifestyle, day in the life with me. And I loved the fact that they were able to be, like, sort of themselves, and people wanted to see what they were like being themselves. But what I found myself doing was trying to act like someone else in order for someone to want to watch my content and be myself.
Like a derivative of yourself.
Yeah. So when I started realizing that was when I was getting like late middle school, early high school, where I was like, I can't be someone else in like this area.
Yeah.
You know, because the North Shore is like, if you get to be someone else, they're going to turn you into someone you don't want to be.
Yeah.
So when I got into high school, like the high school that I went to was like this Teston private ridiculous school that I was not meant to be at. You know I wasn't, and I know I wasn't, and it's okay. It's okay. I've had teachers from that school see these videos and be like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you were there because your brother was there. And that's okay. But what it did was it made me say, like, all right, I got to hit the ground running if I'm going to do anything here. Because it's expensive.
Super.
I wanted to prove something to myself and to the people who were like, why are you even here? And I'm like, my brother is 2 grades ahead of me. So I was at this high school. Exactly. Yeah. I was at this high school and it really kind of forced me to like shape up because in middle school, I was like, not shaping up.
Oh,
like,
of course, but you're not meant to shape up in middle school.
But you're also not meant to be smoking and drinking and fighting and running from cops.
Yeah,
and,
you
like,
had an older brother, man.
That's too early, right? Like,
you,
I'm living 2 years ahead of myself.
We had exposure to a lot of
way too much. I feel like, and a lot of people will. So I've been asked this a couple of times, and I'm going to start by pointing out the fact that, like, I'm very proud of the level of emotional integrity and morality that I've developed in my ability to, like, come to where people are at so that I can help them feel better.
Right.
I think that's very, very important.
I mean, that's quintessential.
I enrich that in the classroom as well.
Good.
But I tell people a lot that I think part of the reason why I'm able to be who I am today and who I was in the classroom and who I will be in 20 years has a lot to do with, like, I saw a lot of people get treated really, really horribly by people that I was friends with, or even my friends getting treated horribly by other people. Like,
it was that environment, though.
Yeah,
you know, like and it low-key fostered that. And I think even kind of going back to the idea of, like, you know, being yourself or not, right? If you are going to make that leap, and I think now it's probably a lot different, especially with the introduction of TikTok and the normalization of social media. Of
course.
But back then, dude, you know, sophomore year of high school, I was like one of 2 kids in my whole school that had an Instagram. Yeah. Like, because it was so new.
It's crazy to think about that.
And I remember, like, you know, people used to make fun of me. Like, they'd be like, oh, taking photos. Like, oh, you know, my Instagram's like, okay, Chris. Oh, okay, Chris, whatever, right? And, like,
don't worry, I'll put your Instagram on.
Yeah, no, but people, like, you know, they just, like, passively talk shit. And I remember always being like, you know, I'd never let that in. Like, dude, I'd deflect that, like, you know, like I got a shield on me because I was always like, no, you don't get it. Like, this is my life. You know, like, I'm going to create this path. I'm going to go down it. I'm going to build a world out of this, right? And I'm going to create my own, like, charter my own path. And with that, I always knew, like, you know, 150,000% confidence. I was like, yo, I'm just going to focus. Right? I'm just going to do it. And yeah, people are going to talk their shit and people are going to say this. People are always going to say so-and-so and so-and-so. And like, they're going to, like, be passive about it. But at the end of the day, like, yo, you just fuck it, we ball.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
I think
excuse my friend.
I don't care. So I think you touch on something that's really, really important, is like that concept that people are going to try to judge what you're doing. Of
course,
right?
Bro.
And I saw a lot of that. When I started doing content creation, it was the first year that I was in the classroom.
Yeah.
Mind you, here's what a lot of people don't know. It was my first year teaching, right? I was also just fresh out of a education degree, and my college was offering a 4+1 program to get your master's degree. I knew I was going to be a teacher, and I was like, all right, I'm going to be a teacher. I want to be able to, like, make ends meet and pay my rent. So I was like, I'd love to do this 4+1 program. I got a deal with the school that I was working at, the one in Mission Hill, where they were going to cover my master's degree if I went and worked with them.
Right.
They gave me a wild job. Did I tell you what my first job was in school?
I know it was mayhem.
It was mayhem.
Yeah.
So the title was stream and writing teacher. Science, technology, religion, engineering, arts, math, and writing. Do you know why they added on the and writing? Because I was an English major, hoping to be an English teacher, and without that writing component, I wasn't working towards a professional license.
Right, so it wasn't applicable.
I did all of those subjects for grades K2 through 6. Whoa. So I was the specials teacher for almost every special for almost every grade in the school. And they paid me like $30,000. And I was like, really? You're going to pay me? You know, because it's like you don't know any better. And honestly, I got to give credit where credit's due. I have my master's degree. I was able to do awesome studies during my master's. I published a thesis through that program. I finished it in a year. It's supposed to be a 2.5-year program. Great. COVID hits. Right? I get, 5 months into my first year teaching. I'm in the first year, which is a nightmare anyway, with I don't know who I am as a person.
Right.
Never mind 30
Neither is
kids in the
anybody
class.
at this point, right?
Teaching,
Everyone went back to like square one
exactly.
at this time of life.
Teaching a ridiculous set of
now virtually.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, not at first. So
Okay.
at first it was just me like making the curriculum as I went along.
Right.
I'm not a scientist. If I'm teaching you science,
today you are.
I have my moments.
right.
I do what I got to do.
Yeah.
But it's like for me, I'm teaching something that if I'm teaching you science, it's the blind leading the blind.
Right.
I might as well be a sixth grader learning as well.
Right.
You know, I'd read the textbook and be like, wow, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And then I turn around and be like, obviously the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And the kids are like, I can tell that you didn't know that. But when COVID hit, that was where I saw, obviously we got sent home and we were teaching virtually. I'm in my first year. Now all my master's classes are virtual. And that was where I started getting kind of chronically online, as a lot of people did. But I just saw that there were so many people in the world that were like really depressed and really beside themselves, lost, nothing to do. And I thought to myself, I was like, I want to make a video so that I can make like one of these people laugh, you know, make them laugh, make them smile, show them what's going on in the classroom. Students are way funnier than they get credit for. And I was like, why not let them also be themselves? So I started making this content. When I started making content, it's the people around you that are like, why are you doing this?
Right.
You know, like,
No. It's not even that. It's it's not the closest tier, right? So it's not, I'm thinking of how to describe this. It's one tier away from that.
Yeah.
Right? It's not your closest circle. It's going to be like people that are close to the sidelines and low-key have enough say to like get into your mind, right? Like where if they have some say, it might like land in a group chat or it might like a friend of a friend, right? Or so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. It's close enough away that like you could still reach to it, but they're not distant enough that like it's a random person.
Well,
and those people love to have an opinion.
It's true.
On everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I will say, like, I would have loved for it to just be like second tier people,
right?
You know, like my parents used to say, like, you're on social media all the time, as if I'm just like sitting there like this all day and not like making stuff for it and planning things and setting like a core of what I want it to turn into.
Right.
I saw what it was going to turn into, but when I said that to people, my parents, like close friends, stuff like this, a lot of them were like, all right, man, go ahead.
You know why? It's because like at that time in Danvers, Massachusetts, or, you know, in a small town of any sorts, right, it wasn't as prevalent yet.
Yeah.
I think the introduction of TikTok did a lot.
It's
right?
true.
'Cause before that, it was just Instagram.
Yeah.
Right? And it was YouTube. So it was YouTube, Facebook, Tumblr, all those guys. Then it shifted to...
I was never on Tumblr.
Yeah, you were too late for that one. It was the sickest place on earth. Like the sickest place on planet Earth was Tumblr. All image and video, and you could, you know, do HTTPS coding to get your cursor to like be a dragon. Shit was really cool.
Cool to know.
Yeah, it was the first time I looked at the back end of a website, and I was like, this is crazy. I gotta figure this one out. But once it went to Instagram, it was very image format, right?
Yeah.
And like images were locked in time. Like, you know, the image of the egg or like Kendall Jenner's first post that were banging at 1 million views. Like that was like kind of monumental for social media.
100%.
And then Vine. So you had 6-second videos.
Yep.
Vine had a very short life, right? But Vine stars created the first celebrities.
Yep.
Like there was your Instagram celebs, and then it was like funny Vine stars. And that was the first time that the everyday person had a shot.
Exactly.
And then you get these 6-second clips that are now cemented in time as Vine clips, which you guys should all go back and watch. And you'll understand like deep references of the internet that then came back into TikTok and
Vine
stuff.
was a beautiful place.
I used to say, like, all throughout high school, early college, I'd say nothing can take Instagram down. And I would have stood 10 toes down on that because it was a behemoth. It was a true monopoly of social.
True.
And I was like, is the introduction of anything going to happen? Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Come ByteDance turned TikTok and short form video changed the world. It
true.
changed the digital landscape. It changed the way we connect interpersonally.
Yeah.
It changed the way that human beings are watched, talked, and communicated to and with on social media. And it was wildfire.
Yeah.
Now we have Instagram Reels, which this is probably going to be. We have YouTube Shorts, which I'm sure this will be. Right? We have the idea of clipping. Right? We have the idea of long form content, short form content. We are now in the age where like the way they walk and they talk and their mannerisms and this narrative of what we're talking about and how the idea of you didn't have to be someone else because you were able to be yourself.
Exactly.
We now have platforms at our fingertips in this thing, in our phone, where we can connect with the whole world.
Yeah.
And like a bunch of years ago in a small town of Danvers, Massachusetts, if you were to say that you were going to create a very large scale career out of that or a business derived or built upon that or something to solve the industry that would be, that would sound far-fetched.
Sure.
Now I feel and I hope that kids back home listening to this feel empowered to be able to be like, I can create a life for myself on this thing.
Well, that's
Just
exactly what I
try.
wanted to key in on what you said.
Yeah.
When you started doing stuff with OK, and then you started like going off on this and dedicating yourself to it, people are like, you're taking pictures. You said, yeah, I am. I love this. You invested in yourself early on and it paid off like crazy.
Yeah. Well,
and
you want to know something crazy about that? With that brand, I had the photography background.
Yep.
I learned the clothing side of things.
Yep.
I had enough money to travel, and I was building friends online. I then would like make this rule with myself: I will go anywhere someone invites me to.
Yeah.
I won't like. I didn't have enough money for hotels and shit, but I'd sleep on a couch or a
Yeah.
floor all day long, right? As I used to do at your house when we were like 11 years old.
Exactly.
And so, you know, throughout high school, early college and stuff, I was able to travel all over the world. And then that led me to LA, where I met a huge friend group through the grapevine. I would go out to like a party with one person, meet all these kids, stay super connected.
Yeah.
And it was there and on Facebook that I met my buddy Roy, who's one of the first few kids to have millions of followers. He was going uber viral on Facebook and on Instagram, like way back in the day. He was living in LA in this mega influencer house. So I was sleeping on their couch all the time. That's where I met Dylan. Dylan and I started Gluey together.
Nice.
Right. So he came to me in the first day of COVID and was like, yo, let's create like a solution for what we're seeing on the influencer side from a managerial perspective, but also on the brand side that we knew so well, because we had stood up all these e-com brands to and through high school, college, etc. So we knew the e-com side, we knew the influencer side. Now we just need to create a solution for it. So if you look back, that first Deca project that I wrote at 16 years old in my bedroom, up all night, every night, just working my butt off to learn it and to understand it and to give it a shot. And I won the state championship for it, which was great. I still have the trophy in my room back home.
It's beautiful.
But like that led me to creating the brand, which led me to travel and meet people through the internet, which led me to really dive into the influencer space when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old. That was 8 years ago. To be able to sit there and to say I've watched it grow and advance all this time, but also to know that I looked at that and I said, this is where it's going. Simultaneously studying advertising at school. My degree was PR advertising with a double minor in business admin and marketing.
Sick.
All those things led to classes like media planning and advertising, where you're looking at like super multi-million-dollar campaigns and how are you going to deploy those funds across like an out-of-home or a digital media, whatever. And I said my first ever advertising class, first semester freshman year, I told my teacher, I was like, influencer marketing, like why isn't it on the budget sheet? He was like, what? And I was like, why isn't like social media influencer marketing, why is it not included? He was like, I don't know, it's just like not big enough to be in the marketing mix yet. And I told him, and funny enough, I had him senior year as well. I spoke on his alumni panel as well.
Sick.
I told him, I was like, yo, it's going to be. Right? Like it is going to be a quintessential part of each and every marketing plan. So we should either prepare for it now or skip over it and I'll prepare for it on my own. And we did. We prepared for it. It was really cool. And I got to learn a lot about it from like what existed in academia on it. There wasn't much, but like it had lived in the celebrity realm from entertainment as it came digital. But like that was it, right? And I just, you know, believed in it, went long on it, and quite literally we are both here because of that. Right? Like you have created an amazing career for yourself as a creator, right? And you've been able to monetize that and go through like there's business acumen involved in that. There's emails you have to read, there's workflows that you have to manage yourself. There's content you have to create and deploy, and all that lives on these great little phones of ours that live in our pocket. We create these worlds for ourselves, and we're in a beautiful time because like now you can do that. Any person in the world can do that, and like not, you know, obviously within reason, but like it's become democratized, and I think that that's like really cool to say. Because like any kid can create a world for themselves.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to sort of like see as you and I in our own respective areas have sort of proven the fact that now that we're in 2026, obviously social media is not just something you use solely for entertainment. It's now a very legitimate career path, right? So like the kid sitting at home who's looked at some of my stuff, and I've said this to everyone, if you want to do social media and you have a love for it and you have a passion for it, you're going to be successful, regardless of what everyone around you says.
But you know how you do it? You just have to start. It's literally free, Free. If you have service on your phone or Wi-Fi, it's free to create the videos. It's free to edit them. And it's free to post them. And listen, people are going to make fun of you. And I'm so sorry to break the news to you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they think or how they care or, you know, you get made fun of here and there. It's going to happen, dude. You're going to get punched in the stomach and the face, figuratively and literally. But like, you got to get up and you got to do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again. Because consistency is how these things happen.
100%. I think being consistent on social media is one of the only reasons why it ever grew to what it was.
Yeah.
Because people saw me as something that they can rely on.
Right.
And now the podcast is sort of the same thing. Every Sunday we sit down and we talk about, you know, what's good, what's bad, what's difficult, what we're super excited for. But I think that what you're going to find is like, if you're the kid sitting at home being like, I'd love to be, you know, an influencer marketing CEO, you know, or a content creator, it's completely possible. And there will come a time that all those people that are like, why are you making videos of yourself? They're going to become the people who are like, I always knew you had it in you.
Yeah, they
no,
are.
No, you didn't.
Oh, it's always going to.
I had it. I knew I had it in me.
It'll always come full circle from the second tier, from the sidelines. It'll always come full circle. But like, you got to go back to the fact that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all, because at the end of the day, it is you, right? Like, you got to straight up, and I always say this, and I grew up an only child, so like, this was much more relevant to my life. But like, every day I wake up, it is just me.
Yeah.
I got to create my own schedule. I got to do my own work. I got to be great at school. I got to be great at work. I got to be great at everything I do. And then when I go to bed at night, it is also just me, right? And like, the next day, I got to get up and do it all over again, and over again and over again and over again. Build a good schedule and a good routine. Be uber confident in it, and actually just crush. But at the end of the day, like, all those things, how do you get anywhere? You have to do it. Like,
exactly.
You have to start. You have to build the plan, have the passion, find the spark, fall on your face, get up, do it again, just lock in, and like, actually care.
100%.
Give a shit.
That's kind of all it takes. You got to find, because in the end, like, this is why I get into it all the time. Like, the people who work at Brownstone Social and they see me podcasting every week, it's like, they know that I get so passionate about this, where it's like, school is meant to be a place where you can find the thing that you love and you couldn't imagine living without. Yeah. And then you get so good at it that you can make an entire life around it, and then you can just enjoy your life. If you have a passion for something that's off the beaten path, phenomenal. You have a passion. Check. You're on your way to having a phenomenal life.
Yeah, and but with every passion comes industry.
Exactly.
And you need to, like, you know, look at it from 10,000 feet in the air, right? Like, if you want to go work in sports, right? There's a whole world of industry under the sport umbrella. Yeah. You want to go work in media, entertainment. You want to go work with celebrities. You want to go work in PR. You want to go work in bio or pharma or AI or tech. All those things have their own leaders, right? And they have their own, like, kind of like a leaderboard. Yeah. What company is doing it the best? How are they innovating in the space? What are they doing to change the next frontier of tomorrow? Understand that. Know the playing field. Know the companies and the leaders. Know the competition, and know what it's going to take to enter the market as an individual, and also to be great in it. And like, all those things, because of social media, they're all readily accessible. Yeah. There's platforms. I know you guys might be a little younger, might not know LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn aggressively. Right?
I bet they have heard of it.
Yeah. Okay. If you don't have a LinkedIn, you should make a LinkedIn, because when you go get your first job, you're going to need a LinkedIn. So just get ahead of it now. And
100%.
Thank me later. Message me if you ever need help on that. I'm 100% happy to do so. But like, there are all these social medias that exist across all these industries, and everybody exists on them. Yep. And like, the internet is the encyclopedia of all.
100%.
Everything you could ever need is one click away, right here. And this thing lives in my pocket, 18 hours a day? Yeah. It's right in your hands.
Well, I will say, all of the conversation so far is obviously who we are today, but I think it's about time that we get into the questions about who we were before.
FaceTiming me?
Your grandmother's FaceTiming?
Yes, and I think she wants to say hi.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Oh my God.
Yo.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
Yo, Graham, say what's up.
Are you kidding me?
What's up?
What's up?
Hi, Graham. It's so good to see you.
Oh, hey, it's good to see you.
How have you been?
Oh, right here.
Oh my God. You want to say hi to a couple million people?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Hey, Graham, wave.
Wave at everybody.
Let him know, Graham. Throw him a peace sign.
Oh my God. Here, wait. Actually, I'm curious. So Chris and I, we were just talking about how we were as kids and how that sort of changed who we are as adults. I'd be very curious to hear what you thought of what we were like when we were really young.
Oh, you were a bunch of cute little kids.
Were we really cute? You were adorable. I don't know that I was.
Yeah. No, I was a little bit more charming, because every time my grandmother told me to do something, I would do it.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I wasn't that guy.
No.
I would do anything she asked me to do.
Right, yeah.
Not anyone else.
Yeah. Remember, you used to pick us up at the skate park with our scooters?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, when you used to ride your scooters at the skating park.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was saying we were just talking about Danvers.
Oh, you were just talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what's
yeah.
great? She's quintessential DANVERS.
Danvers, yeah.
God, I love her
Oh,
so
that's too
much.
funny.
She's my favorite
Well,
person.
yo, Graham, we're chatting right now. Any words of advice
Okay.
for the world?
For the world,
Yeah, words of advice. Give us a one-liner.
I would like peace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But,
100%.
What I would like to say, you can't put on there.
Oh.
I love it.
Okay,
Honestly, and it's
and-
probably completely accurate.
Okay. Yeah. Yo, I'll call you in an hour.
In an hour.
Okay. Love you.
Okay,
Okay.
I love you too.
Bye bye.
Have a good time.
Okay. Bye bye. Bye.
Bye.
If I don't actively press the hang up button, we just say bye for like 35 minutes back and forth.
This is a young man at age 28 that still talks to his grandmother.
Whoa. 3 times a day? I face
3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say 3 times a day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Still talks to his grandmother 3 times a day. That is a special individual. If my grandparents were still alive, I would be. I would hope to aspire to be close to what Chris is like with his grandmother.
You know, it's funny. When I went off to college my freshman year, I put aside like $800 because it was gonna be the first time that I was like away from my grandmother,
Sure.
right, for the first time. So I bought her an iPhone, and then we started FaceTiming.
I love
and
it.
so when I lived in the dorms, I'd have a specific walk that I do every morning to class, and so I'd FaceTime my grandmother, just like
Sure.
kind of naturally, just checking in.
Mhm.
It wasn't really every day at that point. And then when I was like a sophomore, junior, senior, I lived in this house next to Wrigley Field in Chicago, and my walk to the train was like 6 minutes.
Okay.
And so I built this routine of calling her on my walk. Right. And so that became my morning routine.
Sure.
And then it was every day through college, right? Anywhere I'm traveling in the world, like if I'm in Europe or Australia or whatever, I'll make sure that I call her at her morning time. Right. And so as I've gotten older, it's been like very much a routine of mine. And so
Yeah.
now every single day, right, every morning at like 6:30 or 7, I go walk in the park and I FaceTime her, right? We talk for like 20 minutes or so.
Sure.
Shoot the shit. And like, so she follows everybody on Instagram.
Oh,
Like
I love
everyone.
it.
And so it was really funny in college. Like she would follow everyone that I've ever tagged. Like she's filthy with Instagram. She can navigate Instagram extremely well. Like
Oh,
she
it
knows
makes
DMs
sense.
and she knows memes and she
Yeah.
can send videos back and forth. Like she's very with it, right?
Sure.
So she'd follow everybody. And so let's say I wasn't picking up. It was like noontime. She'd know I had a big night out.
Yep.
She would watch everyone's story and piece together how late I was out. Because like someone would put like the tag or like
Yeah.
the time that you're out. You were out till 4 a.m. Like,
Oh my God.
she's like, oh my God, we can sleep all day now. And like I'd wake up and it really started to kind of impact me a little bit. I was like, yo, I gotta lock in. Like
Yeah.
my grandma's making fun of me.
100%.
And now, as I got older, there's not a day that goes by. I think there was one time in the last 3 years I didn't FaceTime her, right? And you know why I know that? It was because it was like 4 or 5 p.m. and I was in a house with a bunch of people and someone ran down the stairs like, yo, Chris. I'm like, yo, what's up? They're like, yeah, your grandmother's DM me. I was like, what'd she say? And he was just like, yo, you gotta call her ass, bro. She's like banging my line. And I literally was like, yo, could someone grab my phone? And I've been on it all day because I just wanted, I don't know, I guess a
Oh my
12-hour
God.
digital detox. And I
Yeah.
was not allowed that day.
Of course.
And I call her. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're not gonna call your grandmother? And I was like, shit, man, my bad.
Yeah,
and then
no,
after
that's a
that, I
tough
really
one.
thought through it. I was like, fuck, man, I could call my grandmother.
100%.
If I don't, she always says she's gonna hunt me down.
Yeah, she's gonna end up in Chicago finding you.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
without
yeah,
a doubt.
Yeah, she has tabs everywhere.
I believe it.
Yeah, so yeah, she's great. I talk to
So-
her all the time.
As we were saying, your grandmother knows us as kids
Yes.
better than anyone. But I had a couple of people reach out with questions
Yeah.
about me that I think, in a way, only you could answer.
Okay.
Because you've seen me in so many aspects of life.
Yeah, from literally the beginning.
The first one is, how was Tyler as a student when he was a kid?
Rambunctious.
Yeah.
You were a rambunctious kid. Like
Yeah.
every bit about you was rambunctious, right? Bouncing off the walls. Hey, I had an older brother, right? You were
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Jakowski by all means. There was a very defined attitude that came with that, right?
Sure.
And it might have been a little more high energy than the rest, but you were a good student. You were always academically inclined. There was no way to deny that.
It's true. And I feel like when I was in the classroom teaching, I saw a lot of students who had a very, very comparable level of like hyperactivity that
Yeah.
I did when I was a kid. And I found myself, because one of like the staples of me wanting to become a teacher was because I had teachers in that middle school and in elementary school for that matter, who would put my desk in the hallway because they were like, dude, you gotta stop.
Yeah,
like,
right?
And it
3 strikes was 3 strikes ago.
the problem is it wasn't even that nice, like what I just said, where it's like, I really need you to stop. It was like, shut up.
Yep.
It was
Yeah,
like, I'm going to fail you. I'm going to put you in the hallway.
Right.
You will not be allowed in my classroom.
Right.
I had teachers drop me out of their classes because they were like, I'm not going to listen to him.
Yeah.
But that taught me to see students who reminded me of myself and be like, I found the way to word it. And if there are any teachers watching this, try wording it like this because it's so much more complimentary to the student's personality rather than trying to diminish energy. I was looking at these kids and I was like, I love your energy level. And it's so necessary in so many different places. And I can't wait to see how you utilize it as the lesson goes on.
Right.
For this next 5-minute period, I just need you to be locked in on me and just listen to that. The minute that that's done,
Boom.
we can go right back to it.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
I had a student named Judence.
Okay.
Right. And he was crazy, crazy, but just
Okay.
like me, where he's like
Yeah.
bouncing off
In
the
a good
walls.
way.
Like the kid who like couldn't stop, like physically was not capable of not moving, not sitting still and not talking. He couldn't do it.
Okay.
I told him that and he was like, oh, okay. Because it's logical.
Right.
I'm
It
going to
is.
be able to get back to it. It's not, hey, sit still for 5 hours straight.
But it's also an acknowledgement
Yeah.
of it, right? It's like, hey, I understand that you're really hyper right now.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But for right now, let's just lock in. Give me that focus and give me that determination and like let's lock in very
100%.
temporarily and then let's go back to having fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of life.
Well, in a lot of ways, it makes it so that a person being very high energy and extroverted, it doesn't make that personality trait a negative.
Right.
Because frankly, I love that I can walk around into a random like event at Brownstone
Oh my
Social
goodness.
or an event with you the other
Yeah,
day
yeah.
or just walking
Tyler
on the
and I
street.
went to a gala, by the way. We wore suits. It was really sick.
We went to a gala.
It was
We looked
sick.
damn good. I posted on my Instagram.
Sick.
But like, I like that I can go there and I can talk to people and not be like, oh man, what if they this and this? Like, no.
Oh, my
I feel
goodness,
more
dude.
comfortable trying to talk.
Yeah, and extroversion is like so important, right? Like self-determinism in work, extroversion in social settings. I think, living in cities and stuff and getting far away from, the small town we grew up with, like you only had 250 kids in our grade. So like you only had 249 other personalities to live by, or at least to know and to get to know. And so when you live in big cities and stuff, you're open and exposed to a lot of personality types. And I actually didn't understand, and this is the selfish only child in me, but I didn't understand the idea of introversion until I went to college.
Sure.
Because everyone I was friends with in high school, I got to choose those friends, right?
Yeah.
So it was very like also extroverts and people that were very loud and fun, etc. But like in college, it was like taken back. I'm like, oh, wait a second. Wait, you don't want to just sit here and talk for 10 hours. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But it took me a little while to understand that and to acknowledge it and to also be like, oh, okay. Like you like hanging out in quietness and like chilling and it was
Exactly.
different, and having a roommate for the first time and living in the same room as someone, like you're meshed with these personality types and stuff, but like you said, being able to communicate it and to get on the same page as a student or a friend or it's a colleague or something, it's important, right?
Yeah.
And like without that, you're kind of just flying blind, and then if you fly blind for long enough, there's no communication, and
You end
that's
up
how
lost.
right, like you get lost in the sauce, and like
Yeah.
I don't know, that's not cool.
That's true. All right. I got another
Next question.
one.
Yep.
This one's actually a little bit emotional.
Okay.
Not going to lie. How did you and Tyler meet and why did you like having him as a friend?
Oh my gosh. So it was, oh man, I was like 8 and I went to not sleepover camp yet. I went to day camp in Boxford and Styles
Pond camp.
We went to day YMCA camp.
Shout out to Styles Pond Summer Camp in Boxford, Massachusetts.
Changed my life. So it was a day camp. So we bussed from Danvers. We got on this bus and then we go out to like Styles Pond, 30 minutes away. And there was up in the A field, was the athletic field up the hill. And then there was a
God,
little
you
camp
actually
store.
remember.
I remember
Jesus.
everything. I
Oh
have a
my
really
God.
insane memory. And then there was the waterfront, and then there was some fishing, and then there was like the back area. It was this day camp during the summer.
Yeah.
And like, it was the best time of my life.
It was
And
awesome.
You and I spent every last waking minute there together. And then I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. After camp or on the weekends, we would spend every minute together.
Every day.
And you had an older brother,
Yep.
right? So like for the first time in my life, I had like friends. And at this age, I was mentioning this the other day, when you're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, you're not making like conscious decisions on your own.
Of course.
Right? Like one of my first ever conscious decisions was like to make you my best friend.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, Tyler's my best friend. Like it was this pride moment of like, I have a best friend and he has older brothers and I get to experience this for the first time. I get to feel like I'm in Jackass.
We
you know?
get to get our asses kicked on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like I got to go to a campfire for the first time. Like
That was fun.
It was like cool stuff like that. So I think you were definitely there for me, and like you were a support system that I didn't have, and you're like one of my first friends, right?
Yeah.
And like to experience the world with a friend of any size or caliber is really important.
Well, the way I've described it to like even my parents and a lot of friends of mine when we talk about you is like I was always the younger brother, and I only have
Right.
one older brother, Corey.
Yeah.
And I never knew what it was like to have a younger brother.
Right.
And I think having you around, like even though it never felt like I was with someone who was younger than me,
Right.
it just felt like we were the same age because we essentially are. But I think that in a lot of ways, having you as like sort of a younger person around me and all of the time that we spent together,
Right.
in a lot of ways kind of influenced me to want to be around the younger generation so that I can like keep having these positive experiences
Right.
and
Yeah,
being
yeah.
sort of like a role model in a way. Like back then I was no role model. We were both children.
And keep in mind, by the way, I was the youngest by far, especially compared to your older brother and
Yeah.
friends. So the golf cart only fit 6 people, right?
God,
2
that's
driving, 2 in the back seat, and the last 2 would be like facing outwards on
Yeah.
the back, like little seat area.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to the res that we talked about earlier, there was like this big cement wall around it. I'm talking a massive reservoir, by the way. Like I'm not talking a little pond or a field. Like massive, massive, massive. There was islands in it and all this fun stuff. Kayak and canoe out, which
Sick.
they used to do. It was
did a
crazy.
lot.
So in the golf cart, we would drive up this hill, and the hill was like very thin, but then there was the steep hill. And I'm not kidding you. You would think this shit was out of a movie. Tyler would drive up to the top of the hill. Everyone hold on. And, you know, I'm the youngest one, so I'm in the back. And they would just drive off the hill. And this golf cart would tip and roll and tumble and roll and do and everything. Dude, I was so petrified. My mom would be bringing me to your house, and I'm like, dude, everything's gonna go in slow motion again. Because as we're rolling this golf cart, and
Everything's gonna go in slow motion again.
like it was like, yo, at the time, like Waka Flocka Flame music just came out. So
Oh,
we're bumping who knows
no.
what on the teeny tiny speaker, and like
Oh.
it's like Waka Flocka, and I'm rolling through the fields, and I'm just like hoping for dear life that I don't hit my head on the way down.
Yep.
And then everything 3 minutes later out of slow motion, which was like 6 seconds.
Yeah.
We land at the bottom of this hill, and they're like, let's do it again.
Yeah, literally just right
And
back around.
I remember being like, this 2 hours in the golf carts, it's gonna kill me.
Yeah, it's gonna take like 7 years off your life.
100%.
Yeah.
And every time I go to that reservoir, I almost shed a tear because I'm like, what a good time we had growing up.
It's
like,
true.
What a true adolescent experience of growth and development and freedom.
It's true. All right, so I mentioned in this question for people to reach out. We have like 4 more minutes, but I mentioned to them you are a CEO of a company. You're a
CMO,
co-founder,
yeah, co-founder,
CMO.
CMO. So I run
CMO.
all the marketing, sales, and revenue.
So I wanted to ask them, what would you, or somebody, I wanted them to ask questions about that as well,
Okay.
if they had
Yeah,
any.
yeah.
One person said, what would you recommend to me, a 10-year-old who wants to do something similar to what you do?
Whoa, a 10-year-old. Oh my goodness.
You got a 3-minute elevator pitch.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I would say like you got it, man. No matter what it is, you got it. Okay, let's start there.
That's a good start.
That's a really good start.
You can.
You're gonna do it, bro. Like you were thinking ahead here, right? You want to be good. You want to be great. Go get them. I think be great at school. Do your homework. Eat your vegetables and your fruits.
Sure.
Love your parents and your friends, right? Start there. Be a good kid.
Survive.
No, yes, right, get through. No, but I mean, like, you know, as you go through school, right? Like, identify what you really like. You might love science class. You might
Yeah.
love math class. You might love history. You might love English. Latch on to what you love. And then
Without a doubt.
beyond that, take it way beyond the classroom. Let's say you really like writing or you like literature. Go read books on marketing. Okay, you're 10 years old. You might not want to, you know, be reading books on marketing. but,
Work
like,
up to it.
You can work up to
Audiobooks.
it. Yeah. Dude, there's like a really fun book called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. It's like 117 pages, like, you know, chill font size. And it's about the PayPal mafia, the creation of PayPal. And it's about like the coolest entrepreneurs ever building one of the coolest first ever ways to digitally pay people.
Yeah.
And he just breaks down how him and his boys built a $1 billion company in 117 pages. So at 10 years old, I'm not saying you have to go read 0 to 1 now, but I'm saying when you're 15 or 16, go read a bunch of developmental business books and then, you know, do math outside. Go learn how to figure out and solve a Rubik's Cube. Do fun things that are hard and then find passion in all of it and be open to challenge and play sports so you can meet people or be in theater or be involved. I'd say don't spend as much time as you'd like to on your phone, right? I'd say physically read, physically take notes, physically write.
And well-rounded.
Be well right, yeah, but like care,
Yeah.
right? Like explore and educate yourself, identify what you like, and then continue going through that because you might find that you don't like data or you know you don't like math and that's okay. Maybe you love science or you love history. No matter what it is, like you can be the chief whatever officer at a company one day as long as you find what you love and work up to it.
Without a doubt.
And you'll have a cool job title and you'll get a great job and someone will pay you money to do what you love. But you got to know what you love first and then you got to go work hard to create or get a job in that field, and then you, Mr. 10-year-old, are going to have a great life.
100%. I think that
Or Mrs.
intentionality,
10-year-old.
or Mr. Mrs.
Or
10-year-old, everything in
10-year-old.
between. 10-year-old. I think that intentionality is really important, and I like that you keyed in on that, because I think at 10 years old, you don't think about doing things with intention, because everything that needs to be done
Yeah.
properly is kind of, in many situations, done for you by the
Right.
adults in your life. But I think that this generation, you all, I think that you guys are way further ahead than you realize. And I think that in 40 years, we're going to look back and we're going to see this generation.
Way sooner than 40 years. And you know what it is? It's the overexposure element of social media. Of
course.
At 10 years old, we didn't have access to all of this content at our fingertips. You had to search for it. So like now, all of this is at everyone's fingertips.
100%.
It's overexposure. So don't fall into it and don't get sucked in too much. Don't doom scroll forever.
Yep.
Doom scroll with intention.
100%. All right. He was Christian Brown. You were you. I'm Tyler. You guys could be absolutely anywhere. You chose to be here, and I find that really, really special, and I appreciate you for being here. I love you all. Chris's Instagram is going to be in, all of Chris's accounts is going to be in the description. Go follow him. Go check him out. Send him DMs. Ask him about stuff.
Yes.
I love you all. Everything's going to be fine. Don't stress. You're going to be okay.
Love, hand
okay?
heart, build a hand heart. Love.
We love love. Listen, I'll see you guys next week for another episode of the No One Asked for This podcast. Be good to yourself. Be good to other people. Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.